Frauds, fakers, Fuh-rage. These are the interesting times. Hello everyone, my name's Matt Johnston and welcome to The Interesting Times, a political comedy show from the UK. Have you noticed that if you work at a certain TV station, you get a bit paranoid?
Now, I may be imagining this, but it's almost like they want to reverse Brexit.
It will take many years for society to come to terms with the evil meted out on us as quacks or crooks, depending on which side of the cock-up conspiracy argument you fall on, fumbled in the dark for a miracle cure for the COVID cold.
Communism, Marxism, whatever label you want to give it, but it's all heading towards the same thing, and that's the erosion of our freedoms as people.
These past few days, I have been the target of a smear campaign by nefarious players with an axe to grind. Thanks, in my case, to the mad ramblings of highly politicised Twitter trolls and revolting blogs that eschew basic journalistic standards is destroying democracy. I do also note that there are dark forces out to try and take this brilliant channel down. We have all found ourselves under attack. And that's because GB News is the biggest threat to the establishment in decades. And they'll stop at nothing to destroy us.
Is it something in the water? And if it is, which Romaniac woke blob put it there? Dan Wootton has been accused of using a fake persona of Martin Branning or Maria Joseph to trick men into handing over sexual material, and also been accused of a culture of intimidation and sexual harassment in the workplace when he worked for The Sun between 2013 and 2021. The stories themselves spread like wildfire on Twitter, including one far more serious allegation, leading to Dan appearing on his own show to defend himself.
ITV's claim that it simply didn't believe Philip Schofield had plucked a 15-year-old teenage boy with stars in his eyes from obscurity to the set of This Morning and then began a sexual relationship with him once he'd secured a job on the show, well, they look shaky by the day. Tonight, the company's uber-woke, holier-than-thou CEO has been effectively ordered to appear in front of MPs.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's Dan talking about Philip Schofield. Nice use of uber-woke, though. Nothing like attaching a noun to a noun, is there, to give it that extra zing? Anyway, what was this ultra-hypocrite saying?
That there was a scandal within ITV involving Philip Schofield and a youngster, a real youngster.
So, although I don't want to stand up to Schofield constantly pointing out where he's lying, I feel I have to.
No, none of this is any good. It's just a racist grandad moaning about how his side lost in 1945. OK, this is just awkward. Here we go.
And that's why, by the way, I didn't say a word about Hugh Edwards. Not one word.
You didn't, but the station you worked at did. A lot. And you talked about Philip Schofield a lot. But for some reason, a wave of sympathy for Hugh Edwards, someone being accused of inappropriate behaviour in the workplace, hit you shortly before the rumours started.
I mean, who doesn't have regrets? Should I be cancelled for them many years later? Or do you accept that I have learned and changed?
Jeffrey Robertson, do we accept that Dan Wootton has learned and changed?
No.
We will keep fighting for you.
And fighting for us doesn't come cheap. Dan, Martin or Marjorie has set up a crowdfunding page on Democracy 3. Not Democracy 3 because it definitely isn't. And he's learnt from Brendan's crowdfunder. If you want to insult him, it'll cost you a minimum of £5. And there's no easy process to getting that refunded either. All of which means that comments from the easily duped, some of which are just heartbreaking, including pensioners with not a lot of money to spare who are handing over what I've no doubt is money they can't really afford to part with to the snake oil salesman. And it's not even clear where that money goes, just a vague notion of legal costs, although interestingly, no legal action, but lots of promises of fighting for you. And his worth isn't even known, although it's been estimated to be in the millions. And anyone handing out thousands of pounds for essentially cock picks, let's be honest, isn't struggling financially. And a tiny but important point here, Dan Wootton claims that Douglas Murray took the byline Times to court. Jeffrey, did he?
No.
He did, though, get an apology and an out-of-court settlement from Peter Jukes, who owns the Byline Times, who retweeted something. So, Democracy 3.0 is a unique, probably the best way of putting it, website that states that they are not the right place to raise money if you're running a marathon or trying to end global poverty. Yeah, that ending global poverty, I mean, sure, I've no doubt there are positives, but really, it's a lot of hassle. And the founders of Democracy 3.0 charge a minimum of £500 per campaign for anything that takes under £10,000 and 5% for anything over it. So if Dan Wootton is successful in hitting this £150,000 target, that's £7,500. Not bad for running a website. And while they claim to be politically neutral, there's no doubting in their campaigns that there is an agenda. Gender ideology, gender dysphoria, gender critical, and Nick Buckley, who wants to be Mayor of Manchester and not a fan of the trans community. Although his push for mayorship isn't going so great, currently £19,919 shy of his £20,000 target. And the one message is from Martin. Martin, be careful what he asks for his £81, Nick. And who's this?
My name's Andrew Bridge and I've submitted a defamation claim to the Royal Court of Justice against Matthew Hancock MP.
Why, it's Andrew Bridgen suing Matt Hancock. Wow, everyone's a victim here, aren't they? Speaking of which, well, we've tried to put it off for as long as possible, haven't we? But they're simply now avoiding it.
Where the hell's the Governor of the Bank of England? Where is he? He's treated me as a customer with total and utter contempt. How can it be right that my banking status and the amount of money I may or may not...
Oh, wait. Yes, there is. It's my show. And I can do whatever the hell I want. So, up yours, Fuh-rage, you perpetual victim, you. Final word, though, to Francis Coppola. The truth matters, Nigel. And the truth is that Coots ended your relationship with them for perfectly legitimate commercial reasons. No one should have to apologise for telling the truth. I certainly won't. Wow. Francis Coppola went all Don Corleone on his ass.
It's not personal, Sonny. It's strictly business.
Lots of the Boris-loving media, otherwise known as the only BLM that the Tories support, have gotten their collective pennies in a bundle over this new film that is being promoted saying that Boris Johnson didn't actually come close to dying from COVID. And they have gone out of their way to be totally outraged by it. Let's have a look at a clip.
Hands up anyone who's been to Peppa Pig World. Not enough. I was a bit hazy what I would find at Peppa Pig World, but I loved it. And Peppa Pig World is very much my kind of place.
Oh God, well, there's your proof. He looks an absolute mess and is just talking complete gibberish.
How bad did things get?
Well, I've got to be absolutely clear that whatever happened to me was really mild by comparison with the experience of so many other people, so many thousands of other people in this country.
Mild. There you are, straight from the donkey's mouth. Although he did also say this.
I've today left hospital after a week in which the NHS has saved my life. No question.
Last time I clapped for them. OK, so they both can't be right. Any other clues? Well, there's a point that Johnson claimed that the doctors at St Thomas were preparing to announce his death. Were they?
No.
No, they weren't. But here's the problem.
But nonetheless, it goes too far, doesn't it, to say that somebody almost died was making it all up.
Well, the problem is that I think this is all a bit the boy that cried wolf, because habitual liar Boris, all guidance was followed Johnson telling the truth would be more novel than him not telling the truth. He does have a tendency to have a bit of an unbalanced relationship with the truth.
Just to be clear, he doesn't have any relationship with the truth. None. It would be the first time in his bumbling, mumbling, back passage burping existence that if the truth asked him to take part in a paternity test, he'd be in the clear.
I think he's just told so many lies now that he doesn't even know what's true anymore, and he's just got a tendency to exaggerate to the point where it's so ludicrous. He's just like a little boy with chocolate over his face.
And this is a point. He's the Prime Minister that cried wolf and is now looking sheepish. Thank you all so much for watching. And if you are enjoying these vids, then please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share, and I'll see you soon. Take care.